I am stoked for this discussion where we get to talk about super fandom for the WNBA. Our point guard for this discussion is Chloe, so I'm going to throw it over to you and get to the discussion now.
So I have a close friend who is the new fan, and this was kind of my first introduction actually into Meta AI. He said that before he went to the Chicago Sky versus the Fever game, he literally went into Meta AI on Instagram and was like, what do I need to know about the Chicago Sky?
AI is going to be that next wave, right? If the internet unlocked a bunch of things, if mobile technology unlocked a bunch of things, AI and our ability as fans to get information to make sure that we show up in the game and we're acting right, to make sure that we are in our chat thread with our friends and we're talking junk, we can actually fact check the, your friend or your boy or your girl who is trying to, say something that isn't quite true. There's like things like Meta AI and using those tools, whether it's in, WhatsApp, Instagram Direct, Messenger, Facebook, like there's going to be a new level of just engagement that I'm excited about.
Juju kind of hearing what everyone else has said, and we talk about that accessibility and helping with maybe that next girl that does want to be like you. How do you see yourself using Meta AI?
I think growing up in an under-resourced community and kind of on the come up, I didn't really have a lot of resources to like the top trainers or better regiments to get better and work on my craft. But I think that with the power of Meta AI now, like you said, girls can look up a training regimen or a diet plan who don't necessarily have the funds to pay for a trainer or a dietitian. So I think that there's so many resources that are, essentially at our fingertips, just using Instagram or whatever to kind of access this. So I think it could be a very powerful tool if used correctly. Honestly, I think for athletes and for young girls looking to get better, it can be used in a productive way.
No, that's a good point. I'm feel like I'm machine learning as I'm up here listening to everybody's responses. No, accessibility is really important to me. So hearing you say that, it just made me think about like specifically my journey is different than most artists. It's becoming more prevalent, but like being unsigned and being like working with a small team at the level that we do isn't super common. And my path to get here, I've talked about it a lot, but the fact that Meta AI has that information already, and a kid might ask that as a question, like, how do I get to where Chance the Rapper does? And Meta's AI could have a conversational response that's like, well, he started out at a public library doing open mics and creating community amongst other creatives. Eventually, created a small team. But to be able to do that in a supportive, I think that's the coolest thing about the Meta AI is that it's like, it's not human, right? But it has like a human's response to questions, and it's kind of trying to learn with you. It'll give you kind of like a suggestion or a point of view that's not necessarily common. And so I think it'd be extremely helpful for artists to ask Meta AI how to Chance the Rapper do it. I want to ask now and see how it works.
What you talked about, and Juju, you hinted at this too, I think is pretty powerful. This notion that, the next generation in their pocket for free has access to someone who can walk alongside of them in their journey and assist them in their craft of whatever they want to become, whatever they want to be. I always say it's like a tutor in your pocket, right? Again, for anyone, I had two parents that were Nigerian professors, so it was academics for me. But I didn't have access to a tutor. I didn't have access to, a nice, fancy private school that could give me all the blah, 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 blah. But if I had a free tutor in my pocket, be like, I'm struggling with this math problem right now. Help me work through this. Or, I'm trying to learn how to write poetry better because I actually see that a lot of open mic rappers have an origin or have a grounding in poetry. And I'm trying to learn how these all fit together. Help me do this. That I think is powerful, and be able to get that to every single kid around the world for free.
A lot of artists will bounce ideas, right? And work with other artists in the studio to kind of be like, what should I rhyme this word with? Or do you think I should say this? Is this funny? Is this inappropriate? I don't do that because it's just me. But a lot of artists do that. And I've heard of artists using large language models, because they're so conversational, to kind of bounce ideas. And I do think that's a cool thing, because a lot of music is collaboration.
As an artist and as art as a whole, we always want the human experience. So when you look at these 12 basketballs, I still want you to see a human that did it. However, my process was I was able to bounce ideas off of somebody else in the room, as someone that works alone half the time. And so I really did have fun of like understanding the history of women's basketball. I really enjoyed being able to like visit old traditional painting styles again that I haven't been able to do in a long time. And again, as I've mentioned prior, I did something sculpturally, which I would have never done. But after going prompts after prompts after prompts, this one specific style kept popping up. And I was like, you know, I'm at this stage of my life and my career where I have the space and time to explore and activate into these different mediums. So I think the result of these 12 basketballs was exactly that.
This is a tool, and you want these tools used by the right people. And in my opinion, in these early days, these early adopter days, the artists, the people who have historically not had access to resources, to opportunity, figuring out how to use these tools to make sure that their lives are a little bit better, that the way that they learn is a little bit easier, or the way that they play is a little bit more fun, is critical in how we as a society are going to take something like AI, take something like meta AI, and make it work for all of us. So like, that's my encouragement to this audience. And you know, if you haven't used it yet, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Messenger, just like tinker around and play with it, ask it some questions.